All right, I just got back from traveling for work again, and I came home to this lovely package here that arrived from overseas. I know what's in it. You probably know what's in it too, based upon the title of this video. But I am so stoked to get this thing opened. Let's get to it. Okay, we have this opened and we have a lot of peanuts inside. So it is well packed. I'm going to figure out how to dig through these. Ooh, here's something. Here we go. Oh wow, this is double boxed. This came from Chris Swinson, aka Exxos. And I am just, like I said, so stoked for this. All right. Here we go. We have a heatsink and fragile. Let's see if there's anything else in here as I rummage around. No, I think that's it. All right. We'll set that off to the side. And open up the fragile box here. The handy dandy scissors. I don't have a big fancy knife like some YouTubers, but I do have scissors. There we go. Even more fragile. All right. I am just so honored that Chris or Exxos reached out, see if I'd be interested in this. This here is the STE 536. So the accelerator I built a couple weeks ago was the ST 536. This is the version that goes in the STE. What makes this one so super cool is that because the STE in most instances has a socketed CPU, this is pretty much plug and play. Ka-thunk and go. And oh, I'm so delighted he also sent over one of these as well. These are fantastic, these CF card readers. So what I can do is I actually can probably take, oh, and this has the TOS already written for it. This is perfect. But I have a place to put this, and that is, I'll be right back with that guy. It is a 1040 STE that I'd like to play around with this on. Here we have a lovely STE. Fantastic guy. Fully working, TOS 1.06, 4 megabytes of RAM, socketed CPU, socketed blitter. And actually, let's do a quick test of the functionality before we try the accelerator in there. Verify that it's still working. Lovely PSU over here. It's always helpful to have lots of extra parts just in case. Get the monitor on and we go. It'll be looking for the floppy drive, which it doesn't have, so it'll take a second. We'll just fast forward through this part. But didn't need to fast forward much at all. Here we are, desktop. Refresh, it looks a little funky, but that's what happens when you're filming a CRT. It's working fine. Lovely computer. All right, We'll power this guy off, unplug it, and I believe I'm going to want to take out the ROMs here. There we go. And there we go. High and low ROMs out. We'll use this PLCC extractor with, this is the CPU, the Motorola 68,000, excuse me. All right, there we go. And I believe, let me see where pin 1 is. I'm going to check out, I think it goes like this, but let me check out, make sure I have the orientation correct before I put it in. What we have here is we have a 3D printed dummy CPU, because you don't want a CPU in this socket, and then each of these lines, these pins, plug in behind the contacts in the PLCC. Like I said, I'll be right back with the orientation it should be in. What I see is it's ROM in the front, CPU in the back. So it goes like this, and so the hard drive, or the CF card, is like this here. And I am going to be extremely careful about placing this thing in. It's good. This is excellent, because what this is going to look like, I think this is going to be perfect for fitting underneath the keyboard. Wow, looks like it's going to fit perfectly. This is going to be awesome. Just going to make sure that this CF card doesn't short out. Let me find a piece of cardboard or something of that nature to put underneath it. Actually, I will rest it on this guy for the time being. Just go like that. Perfect. All right. I think it's as simple as that. I like I said, I am just blown away and so very grateful that Exxos, Chris, thought of me to test this out. This is still in beta, so there will be bugs. I'm sure there will be bugs. If there aren't bugs, then I'm probably not testing thoroughly enough. But there are likely bugs with this. So just so you're aware. But the cool thing is because of the nature, again, of the STE's socketed CPU, not in all of them, but in many of them, they have socketed CPUs. This becomes much more plug and play than you would need to worry about in a typical STF. I have not seen any Atari STFs, STFMs, pure STs, or even mega STs that have had socketed CPUs outside, socketed CPUs from factory. There have been some that I've run into that have been socketed after the fact. I've done it myself, actually, on a couple computers. But that's not exactly super user-friendly, and I would expect that many folks would much prefer something like this. And as you can see, there's even some holes for some standoffs, so you can actually provide better support to tie down the accelerator card. But for now, we're going to forget about that and just flip the switch. Oh, yes! We are booting. So I did the right thing by removing the ROMs that were installed, is my guess. This is an updated TOS 2.06 version. It's updated so that it's ready to run the STE 536. I'm sure now it's looking for the hard drive, looking for the floppy drive. We'll get to the dump to the desktop in just a second, is my guess. Hopefully. Maybe. Alrighty. Well, maybe we're not going to get there. I don't see any activity. Maybe I do need a hard drive or a CF card installed here. So let's power the guy off. I am going to grab a CF card from my pile of CF cards. The one thing I'm going to need is I'm going to need to get a floppy disk to hook up to this guy and get HD driver set up as well. Floppy disk. Again, we're going to probably have to do the same thing where, actually, you know what, maybe I can set them up in a similar fashion. Keep them from shorting out. Oh no! Those of you who are watching probably are saying, you captured the floppy power connector underneath there. Hopefully we can squeeze this out carefully. Perfect. All right, we are still good. All right, perfect. Maybe not perfect, but acceptable. If you can't tell, I'm just so excited. Again, thank you, thank you, thank you, Exxos, for this wonderful, wonderful opportunity to test this guy out. Just make sure. I just don't want to short anything out here. HD driver. There we go. We detected the CF card. Let's see. What can I do to fix this? I'm sorry for the screen the way it is. I am going to move over to the big screen TV because I don't want to be living with the CRT recording. Okay, before we go any further, I made some major assumptions in my excitement to get this STE 536 installed and start playing around with it because it's like literally a new toy. I love this. This is awesome. But if you haven't watched any of my other videos where I've played around with Terriblefire 536s, or when I built the ST 536, the version of this for the Atari ST STFs, let me do the quick overview of what this actually is. This is the Atari specific fork of the Terriblefire 536, developed by Exxos, I'm sure Agrelund and others, BW Technoshed, Bad Wolf, whatever, all sorts of people on that forum probably participated in it, but obviously Exxos and Terriblefire himself probably helped out as well. But they developed this. Exxos probably did the majority of the work just based on what I've seen. But they developed this, designed this, made this so this can be fit into the Atari STE. What does it mean? What does it provide? It provides a 68030 CPU clocked at 50 megahertz. I'm assuming this is probably 64 megabytes of, it's not TT RAM, it's fast RAM, alt RAM, whatever you want to call it. But this is RAM that the CPU can utilize running at the full speed. Otherwise, this CPU will be hampered by the 8 megahertz board speed that the STE runs at. And so even with a 68030 running at 50 megahertz, you don't get much of the speed benefit without that fast RAM being in place. Alt RAM, fast RAM, whatever you want to call it. That enables this thing to just really fly. And you also have to have programs that like running in fast RAM. Not all software likes that, and that's okay. But if you have software that does, it is awesome, beautiful. In addition to those things, the fast RAM, the 68030, it also provides an IDE port that allows for an internal hard drive. Again, super awesome, fantastic. This, it's just one less thing you have to worry about. So you get this accelerator, you get a whole slew of stuff with it. It's fantastic. So now I have relocated this to connect to my lovely big screen TV over here. But what I need to do next, again, I'm jumping the gun, assuming you know all sorts of stuff about these guys. With the Atari STE line of computers, you have to install drivers in order to have the hard drive function properly. You also have to partition the hard drive using a driver software. There's a number of different softwares out there, hard disk drivers. There's HD driver, which is a commercial software driver package that is still maintained today. It's fantastic. It's a little on the pricey side, but it's extremely versatile. I love it, and it's kind of my go-to across the board. There's also the Pipera drivers, which I also think are fantastic. They're a little less versatile, but they are less expensive and also allow for easy copying directly to those partitions. So any partitions made using the Pipera software, you can actually plug that CF card into your PC, view the partitions, and copy files directly to it, which is fantastic. Then there's some older drivers. There's ICD driver, and that is, I think it would probably be compatible with this as well. That's from the 90s. You can find that online for free. Then there's other partitioning software, partitioning and driver software that is available as well. I'm not going to go in all of them. Those are the three that I typically see. And if I were to recommend any, if you're only going with one hard drive and it's like an Ultra Satan, go the Pipera driver route, because really it's easy to use, allows for easy transfer of files from a PC, really easy transfer from files to PC, and so it's awesome. If you think you're going to play around with different types of hardware, such as SCSI hard drives, SCSI zip drives, more of the interesting accelerators, HD driver is typically a much more flexible and, I would say, a better alternative. Enough talking, lots of description, lots of me waving my hands around. Hopefully the autofocus isn't driving you crazy on my camera. But I am stoked, if you couldn't tell. Talking a mile a minute. Let's get this on the TV on. And set to VGA. Cool thing about this TV, my son was back from college at one point and he wanted a big screen TV during COVID. He wanted a big screen TV to do his remote learning from while he was back home from university for a period of time during COVID, right? So he got this big screen TV, didn't want to take it back to school. I brought it out of my office, and lo and behold, it's 15 kilohertz capable. Fun story. And I know it's not a real monitor, but oh, it's only 2 megabytes. Huh. I thought I had 4 megabytes in there. I'm gonna have to do something about that. So what we're gonna do is we're going to run the HD driver utility. This will allow me to set up this compact flash card and add a bunch of partitions onto this drive. There we go. So what we want to do is we want to see devices. And I'm going to select the device. And we're going to go to partition. This is a 4 gigabyte card. And what we're going to do is we're going to start, I'm just going to start with compatibility. I don't want Windows or byte swapping. I just want TOS, compatible with TOS 1.06 and newer. There we go. Okay. And then we're going to split this. Oh, let's say let's try 8 partitions. Yep, we're under 500 megabytes, so we should be okay. Go on OK. This partitioning scheme is valid. Since TOS 1.04 or with Mint or Magic, that just means that any Atari ST with TOS 1.04 will be able to recognize partitions less than 500 megabytes in size. So we have 8 partitions. We're going to erase it. Yes, we are sure. Partitioning is finished, and now it's going to ask me to reboot. And I am going to say now. Once this reboots, I'm going to use that same utility to install the driver onto the hard drive, onto one of the partitions in the hard drive. It will be the C hard drive, obviously. Drive C, rather. Drive C of the hard drive. That will do that. Okay. Ah, something happened. Now, something messed up. Again, like I said, this is still in beta. We're going to power this off all the way and restart. Okay. There we go. No idea why it did that. So again, that could be a fluke. That could be something that's going to happen regularly. We'll figure it out. But what this is going to do, this is going to pull up that same utility. And now, once it boots up, it will show all of the various 8 partitions as the drives. There we go. As you can see, there's 8 drives, drives C through J. I am going to select drive C, and under File, install HD driver to drive C. There we go. And what I can do now, I'm just going to power this off. We take the floppy disk out, the HD driver disks out, power on, and it should boot from the hard disk directly. that's not positive here. It doesn't look like it's accessing the hard drive at all. So we're going to stick the driver disk back in. Oh, yeah, it's just going to the desktop. It's going to show nothing probably. Yeah, okay. Let's just see. So check this out. See if it's all devices. No, nothing. Didn't detect anything. So maybe I shouldn't have just exited out of the HD driver utility too quickly. Oh, that's interesting. Again, we're just seeing some interesting bugs. No partitions. Interesting. Well, let's see. Is it fully connected in? It looks like it is. Huh. Just checking out the hard drive. Let's see if it even detects it. Well, it detected the CF card reader. It just didn't detect any partitions. Okay. We'll go over here to Windows, take a look at devices, and it has the CF card in there. So what we're going to do is we're going to try partitioning again. I may need to, oh, interesting. It only has 4 partitions. Or it shows 4 partitions. Okay, there we go. That is weird. Let's just hit split into 8 partitions. Proceed. Yes, we will continue. Yes, I am sure. This is taking a lot longer than it usually does. Okay, so just some interesting things. Let me try a few things here. I'll be back in a minute. I'm going to do some troubleshooting on the CF card. Maybe it's the CF card that's the issue or not. Okay, so here's where we're at. I have kind of gone down a little different path here. Let's skip past that. I decided to break open my 520 ST with the ST536 in it, which I have a CF card in there that I know that works. Pulled it out, put it in here, and I started running it. All right, so it's working. It's booted up into Xboot right here. One of or actually a couple of things that I installed on here as well that needed to take place, and I didn't realize this up front. I kind of knew it, but I didn't. I thought I could get away with testing it out without it first, and that's the BlitFix and MapROM. MapROM is not necessarily necessary, but it is extremely helpful. That takes the ROM and puts it into the fastram. Allows for the system ROM to run massively faster. Now, what I've found in the past in other systems is that MapROM sometimes can cause issues, especially with running games, but that's neither here nor there. The bigger issue was the BlitFix, and the Blitter does not like the system here, or does not like, or it causes potential issues with the STE536. All right, so right now I've got the base load. I'm going to show you what it looks like if I were to load with the Blitter fully enabled. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn off BlitFix. Actually, let's just turn off BlitFix here. And we'll just save that as base, the base boot parameters, and load. And what you'll see, yep, as you can see, issues with the desktop. So if I actually do anything up here, it'll freeze up, right? Boom, done. So what I simply did is, like I said, I took the CF card from my ST536, not STE536, and put it in here. And now we'll show you what it looks like with the BlitFix enabled. And we'll run a couple benchmarks. You get to see a few fun things. We have to do Frontier Bench because you have to do Frontier Bench. I don't have the audio output at the moment just because I'm lazy. Let's turn the BlitFix on and we will save this. Actually, and let's do NVDI as well because that'll make it look even more cool. So I have the MapROM BlitFix on. We're going to run with NVDI as well. And we go. So we got MapROM BlitFix. Boom. Desktop's looking good. It's a very basic desktop because I haven't cleaned it up and made it all pretty yet, but it works. All right. So we're going to first go. Let's just simply do, I think it's this one here. Yeah. GemBench. If you noticed, I don't know if you noticed how quick each of those folders is opening. That's because we've mapped the ROM into the fastram, and it is lightning fast. It's that and probably also NVDI. All right, and so what you can see here, so let's just take a look at the reference. The reference is an STE system running TOS 2.06. The resolution is 640 by 200 at 4 colors. We're comparing both across each other. Blitter is enabled. It really isn't enabled in this case in this system. It is enabled in the reference system. We're looking at the STE 68000, unknown ST 68030, no FPU. I've got NVDI 5.03 on. Cache is on. Run from alt-RAM, alternative RAM, fast RAM, whatever you want to call it. So we're going to now do a little, run all the tests once through. This is not being fast forwarded. And a big part of the graphics tests are really NVDI. The faster CPU helps, but NVDI is tremendous. All right. Numbers are huge, right? Display, CPU, average, we're looking at a lot faster, right? Now let's see what it looks like in action, right? So this is obviously just a synthetic benchmark. Let's see how it plays out in action. And like I said, a lot of the graphics improvements are due to NVDI and not necessarily just due to the acceleration. There are some benefits to the acceleration, but NVDI provides a lot of it as well. Go to D, Games, and we'll go to Front Bench. And if you look at the frame counter at the bottom, this is a nice way to just benchmark how much smoother it is. A typical Atari ST, and likely an Amiga as well, a standard Amiga, 7 megahertz for the Amiga, 8 megahertz for the Atari ST, are not very, this is a slideshow. On the Atari ST, what you would see is you would see a total frames for the entire intro sequence in the 700 range. 720, 730, something along those lines. We're still at the beginning and we're already at 800. As you can see here, we're coming up right on 3,000 frames, 2,975 frames in the entire intro sequence. ebb and flow. There's some variability in it as it runs through the various different time cycles. I'll probably end up wanting to put a heatsink on top of the CPU at some point as well. For the moment, we're just leaving it as it is. It's looking good. It's running. It's fairly stable. It's running stably as I would like. It's able to run the software that I'm looking at doing. I'll have to do some more testing, but one of the things I do want to do, number one, for some reason I thought I had a full 4 megabytes in here, so I'm going to want to upgrade the RAM to 4 megabytes, and we'll get this housed into an STE case. All right. Unfortunately, I had an Atari STE this one had a case that was completely, not completely, but mostly shattered. And it ended up being fully shattered at one point in time. So I have a wonderful working motherboard. I have the RF shielding. It's in fantastic shape. I do have this testing keyboard, but what we're going to do is I have a fully assembled, fully functional, another STE, 1040 STE. This one, on the other hand, that's got my lovely little Gotek in it. It also has a 32 megahertz booster in it. Well, a 32 megahertz 68,000 booster that has no fast RAM. This guy. I think this guy beats it out. I think a 50 megahertz 68030 with 64 megabytes of fast RAM that really delivers some significant performance differentials. We're going to swap them out. All right, let's get going. What we're going to do now is I'm going to remove this RAM from this board. We'll do a little memory transplant. Between the boards. $512K each, 2 megabytes in this board. We will now put these 1 megabyte sticks in each. 1 megabyte each sticks in here. There we go. Stick number 1, stick number 2, stick number 3, and stick number 4. Lovely. That one's there. We'll do the same over here. I just don't want to have... I like having them basically as functional as I can get them when I put them... I wouldn't say this isn't really going to go into storage. It'll stay in my main workspace area. Just in the location that that board over there was in for a while. With the hopes that eventually I will find a new case for it. Or print, or whatever. Perfect. That is done. We will relocate this case, move it out of the way, put it into its home, and be right back. Here we go. We are ready to get this Atari STE into this case. Slip this in. Just the opposite of what we did with the other one. As you can see, there's this little no locator guy right there. We'll get that guy in place. There we have it. And everything seems to be in the right place. We look good. So the first thing is we're going to, I am not going to put the full shielding on. I don't think that makes sense in this case for this guy here. So we are going to anchor down the motherboard with these front 3 machine screws. The nice thing about these is that there are metal inserts in the standoffs. So these machine screws hold very tightly, and you don't have to worry about stripping them out nearly as much as you would have with the Atari STFs in particular, or the older versions. It might just be the STFs, it might be older versions of the STFs that had plastic. One thing to note, on the Atari STs and STEs, these floppy standoffs come in 2 flavors, tall ones and short ones. These are the tall ones because they go with a shorter thickness floppy drive. We can look at, actually let's zoom out. What you have here is you have 2 thicknesses of floppy drives. Okay. So what we're going to do to attach this floppy drive is a little trick I have. What I do is I hang it over the edge of the table. It has enough weight holding it down. I'm not too worried about it. But this allows me to put the screws up through the standoffs, because you can't really flip it over, and it's really hard to align these if the case is on. So what we're going to do now, I'm going to do this off camera just because it's a little bit of a gymnastics feat in order to get that on. But I just kind of wanted to show you how I put these in. Now for the keyboard. And let's move this kind of like I was talking about earlier. And we'll adjust it after we get the keyboard plugged in. There we go. As you can see, it is too high up for the keyboard like that, but however, I believe we're in place. Yeah, this is looking good. Looking good. Now for the top case. And we are in place. Here we go. First boot, fully assembled. And I even connected the mouse. I had so much faith that was going to work, that I wouldn't have to open it up. We'll see if the faith is unfounded. Let's do the ST-RAM test. Make sure I get 4 megabytes. Looks like we're going to get it. There we go, just fine. There we go. All right, so you've seen this running. Let's try Mint. This will be kind of a big test to make sure, to see if Mint works.
Sir, it's quite possible this asteroid is not entirely stable.
No, it did not like that. All right, let's reboot and try something a little simpler. Okay, let's just go with NVDI base. Perfect. We are good. We should probably make sure we install the floppy drives. Let's save the desktop. Yes. Okay. 1 second. I'm going to get the sound hooked up. Be right back. Anyway, I got to get the right connector. Because you have to run Frontier. You already saw it earlier running, but now we get the sound. There we go. It's beautiful. Okay, very cool. You got to get that sound going. Just do a quick reboot. I believe Dungeon Master typically works, but let's just check it out. Yeah. Boots up real quick. Oh, wow. Yeah, that was lightning fast. Interesting. Very cool. If you've watched my channel at all, you know I have to play Ultima 4 on this computer, or at least test it out. It's working just fine, at least for the moment. Again, this Atari STE 536 accelerator card, it's still an alpha / beta, whatever you want to call it. It is not in production as of yet, or commercial production, whatever you want to call it, right? Exxos is not selling it currently on his store or selling boards on his store, the PCBs, that is. That is to be expected to happen in the near future. I mean, there's a lot of folks testing this right now. I feel extremely lucky to be one of them. Let's turn down the music here. I do love my Ultima 4. But it's and as you can see, I mean, I didn't try to hide anything. There were some errors here and there. It's picky about the CF cards. It isn't quite as picky as the Amiga Furia that I had before in the past, which I never was able to get that one to find an SD card or CF card that actually worked. I found one relatively quickly. It's the same one that works for my ST536 as well. So there are some quirks still, and I'm sure that a lot of these are going to be worked out. But as it is with any of these things, these are vintage old computers, and it probably isn't the accelerator if something has an issue. It could very well be the fact that this board, the computer itself, the motherboard here, may not be 100% perfect itself, right? And so take it as it comes. I personally think it's a great accelerator card and a great option to try something out, especially for those of you who have an STE with a socketed CPU. That makes this almost plug and play. The only things you really need to make certain that you have available is you need to make certain that you have, number one, a socketed 68,000 CPU, the PLCC CPU. You need to make certain that you also have BlitFix as well as MapROM in the auto folder. NVDI is optional, but BlitFix is absolutely essential. Will it boot without it? Maybe, maybe not. You saw me booting earlier with it and without it in some instances. Your mileage may vary, but what I found is that in order to get it's running stably, I needed to have that BlitFix in there. All right, enough of that. Like I said, this is a great accelerator card. It fits in nicely. It really looks like it's purposely designed for this computer. It fits inside relatively well as well. There was a little bit of shoehorning with the hard drive, specifically the IDE hard drive, the CF card as well. But that said, I think it's a good option, as I said earlier. Feel free to put any questions in the comments below. I'll put some links in the description. Like and subscribe if you like this kind of content of me taking a lot of Ataris, some Commodores.
Sir, it's quite possible this asteroid is not entirely stable.
And kind of pushing them to their limits. I also have quite a few Apples I'm playing around with as well. You haven't seen much of that as of yet, because honestly, I have so much fun Atari stuff to work on, and Amiga stuff to work on, and Commodore 64 stuff to work on, and Atari 8-bit stuff to work on. I'll eventually get to some of the Macintosh, especially the Power Macintoshes. I really like those. Those are super cool. All right. Have a fantastic day. Thanks for watching. Bye.